right at this exact second. While you sit in silence, your life force is leaking away silently. You feel it in your chest every time you bend over backwards to keep another fragile bond alive. Every compromise you make for company is a piece of your self-respect surrendered without a fight. You believe that being surrounded by people protects you, but it is actually slowly eroding your edge. Every text you answer immediately teaches the world that your time has zero value to you. You are giving away your peace to people who wouldn't even step outside to help you. Think about the last time you were in desperate need of genuine loyalty and true support. Who stood beside you without asking for something in return? The room was completely empty, yet you continue to exhaust your finite energy, trying to fit into places you outgrew years ago. It stings because you know this is true, but you refuse to face the brutal reality. You fear solitude as if it were a curse, when it is your only remaining superpower. While you chase approval, your rivals are building empires in complete, undisturbed, lethal darkness. You are losing ground every single day you choose comfort over absolute personal sovereignty. The modern world trained you to be terrified of standing completely alone in the storm. They want you connected because a connected person is predictable, weak, and easily controlled. When you are everywhere, you belong to everyone except the person who matters most, yourself. Your need for inclusion is the exact doorway through which disrespect walks into your life. Stop pretending that these superficial social circles are adding any value to your existence. They are anchors holding your ship in shallow waters while deep oceans await your command. You feel lonely not because you lack people, but because you lack your own power. Every drop of attention you throw away on small talk drains your strategic focus. You are bleeding influence because you cannot tolerate 5 minutes of total silence. Right now, your potential is dying a slow death inside the noise of crowds. If you do not master solitude today, the world will master and discard you tomorrow. Look at your life without emotional filters. How many true allies actually stand beside you? 0. You are battling this war completely alone, whether you accept it or not. The moment you stop making effort, watch how quickly these fake relationships evaporate into thin air. You are protecting illusions while your real empire lies unbuilt and completely forgotten. It is time to pull back your energy, close your doors, and rebuild your authority. Because being alone is not your failure. It is the exact beginning of your ultimate dominance. You were taught from childhood that solitude is a sign of social rejection and failure. Society conditioned you to believe that popularity equals success and safety in numbers. They told you that if you are by yourself, something must be deeply wrong with you. So you forced yourself into environments that drained your spirit just to feel included. You opened your heart, shared your private ambitions, and made yourself completely accessible. And what was your reward for all this warmth and unconditional openness? Your openness was treated as weakness, and your loyalty was taken completely for granted. People took your time, absorbed your wisdom, and then used it to elevate themselves. When you needed support, those same people suddenly became busy and mysteriously absent. You blamed yourself, thinking you were not attractive, interesting, or valuable enough. You tried harder, gave more, and adjusted your boundary lines to make them comfortable. This is the grand deception designed to keep powerful individuals weak, manageable. The cause of your isolation is not a flaw inside your personality or heart. The real cause is that human systems are structured to harvest open people. Society encourages open doors, because an open door is easy to raid and exploit. When you are always available, you reduce your value to absolute zero in their eyes. Familiarity breeds contempt, and constant presence destroys any aura of authority. The people around you do not want an equal. They want an easy source of validation. When you give them everything without cost, they resent you for making it so simple. They extract your calm energy to fix their chaotic, disorganized personal lives. Once their hunger is satisfied, They leave you drained and look for their next target. Your instinct was to love and connect, but human nature operates on power dynamics. If you do not create distance, people will naturally invade and destroy your sanctuary. They do not respect your boundary lines because you never enforced them with steel. You expected reciprocity from individuals who are only capable of self-preservation. This realization is painful, but it is the first real step toward true liberation. When you understand how the machine works, you stop offering yourself as fuel. Your desire for belonging was used as a tool to keep you predictable and quiet. They needed you to believe that isolation was punishment so you would stay controlled. In truth, your isolation is the only threat to those who exploit your kindness. When you walk away from the table, they lose all leverage they had over you. They can no longer use your need for acceptance as a hook to direct your life. This is why they panic. When you suddenly go silent and start keeping your distance, they label you cold, detached, or arrogant simply because they lost free access. Let them call you whatever they want while you rebuild your personal fortress. The pain you felt was not destruction. It was your mind waking up to reality. You were trying to build a home inside hearts that were meant to be temporary stops. Now you see that the modern social contract is completely broken for high-value individuals. You do not owe your presence to anyone who treats your value as an afterthought. It is time to shatter the false narrative that togetherness is always superior. Solitude is where kings forge their strategies, and weak minds fall into chaos. You are being cleared of noise so that you can hear your own strategic voice. The crowd offers false comfort. The dark, quiet space offers absolute, undeniable power. Accept that your journey was never meant to be a crowded, noisy parade. You are being prepared for a higher level of authority that requires complete independence. To understand why isolation is your ultimate strength, we turn to Florence. 1513. A dark philosopher observed human nature without morality, sentimentality, or polite illusions. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli, a political strategist branded dangerous for revealing how power really works. While moralists preached how men ought to live, Machiavelli documented how men actually live. He saw that society is governed by deceit, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of advantage. Machiavelli understood that the noble and open are always consumed by the calculating. He wrote forbidden truths for rulers who needed to survive in a sea of treacherous enemies. His writings were banned by institutions because they exposed the hidden mechanics of human control. He knew that those who cannot handle isolation are doomed to serve those who embrace it. Machiavelli revealed that true autonomy requires an individual to become entirely self-contained. He famously observed the fundamental flaw in how humans evaluate those around them. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This single quote contains the entire secret of strategic detachment and absolute personal security. People only react to the surface image you project. They never know your true depth. When you are alone, you retain complete control over what the world sees and thinks. The moment you overshare, you destroy your mystery and hand others the weapon to ruin you. Machiavelli knew that the masses are easily manipulated by appearances and sudden silences. When you step back into isolation, you make yourself impossible to read or predict. He taught that a leader who depends on popular affection is always at the mercy of others. Affection is fleeting and conditional, but respect built on distance endures indefinitely. Machiavelli spent years in exile, isolated in a quiet rural estate outside Florence. In that solitary space, free from political noise, he produced his most immortal work. He proved that great clarity is never born in crowded rooms or noisy courts. It is forged in absolute solitude, where the mind is forced to face raw truth. He saw that human nature remains unchanged across centuries and political empires. Men are naturally ungrateful, fickle, deceptive, and eager for self-gain above all else. To rely on their goodwill is to build a castle on shifting sand. Machiavelli offers you the cold key to breaking free from social dependency forever. He gives you permission to step away from the crowd and claim your independence. Listen carefully to his timeless principles, because they will transform your life completely. Silence is the ultimate weapon of personal defense and strategic advantage. You sit with coworkers or friends and feel compelled to fill every quiet pause. You reveal your future plans, your private doubts, and your interpersonal struggles. People naturally look for information to gauge your vulnerabilities and predict your moves. When you speak too much, you hand them the exact map to undermine your ambitions. Starting today, speak only when necessary and reveal nothing about your long-term goals. Let your actions surprise them, while your private thoughts remain entirely undiscovered. Value is created through scarcity, never through continuous and cheap availability. You reply to messages instantly and accept every last-minute invitation tossed your way. Human psychology assigns low worth to anything that is easily acquired without effort. By being constantly available, you signal that your personal time is completely valueless. Withdraw your physical presence and create a sudden, sharp shortage of your attention. Make them earn your time through genuine respect and clear, unmistakable effort. Drop this in the comments. I am the destination, not the pursuit. True strategy requires absolute quiet, free from the opinions of others. You seek validation for every idea before you even begin the actual work. Mediocre minds will always project their own fear and limitations onto your grand vision. They dilute your drive because they cannot comprehend the level you operate at. Isolate yourself for 90 days to build your major project in absolute darkness. Present only the finished result, leaving them no opportunity to criticize or derail. Loyalty is an illusion maintained only as long as self-interest aligns. You expect friends to stay loyal simply because you were faithful to them. People align with strength and advantage, not past emotional debts or favors. When your utility drops, their so-called loyalty vanishes without a trace. Never rely on emotional loyalty. Ensure your position is built on mutual interest. Make it so that supporting you is always in their best personal self-interest. The most formidable power operates quietly behind closed doors. You feel the urge to broadcast every success and milestone on public platforms. Public display invites immediate envy, sabotage, and unnecessary competitive scrutiny. Envy moves silently and strikes when you least expect your defenses to drop. Hide your wealth, conceal your progress, and operate completely below the radar. Let them assume you are failing while you quietly accumulate wealth and control. Drop this in the comments. My silence is my shield. He who controls your emotional state controls your entire destiny. You react instantly to insults, provocations, and the opinions of foolish individuals. Every emotional explosion hands your opponent key control over your behavior. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. Practice complete detachment whenever someone attempts to provoke your temperament. Respond with absolute stillness, forcing them to burn through their own energy. Distance creates reverence. Excessive closeness breeds disrespect. You let people into your personal space before they proved their genuine character. When people feel they own complete access to you, they stop valuing your presence. They treat your time like a given rather than a rare and privilege. Erect psychological walls and require people to pass tests of absolute loyalty. Only those who demonstrate unconditional respect should ever be granted close proximity. Your absence must be felt before your presence can ever be truly respected. You stay in environments where your presence is barely acknowledged or appreciated. Human nature forgets the worth of anything that never disappears from view. When you disappear completely, you force them to experience the vacuum you leave. Disappear without explanation whenever you feel a drop in respect or attention. Let your sudden absence teach the lesson that your words failed to deliver. Drop this in the comments. Solitude is not loneliness. Never assume others operate under the same moral code as you. You project your honorable intentions onto people who are purely opportunistic. This cognitive blind spot makes you vulnerable to calculated betrayal and manipulation. Opportunists view your moral integrity as a convenient handle to push you. Assess people strictly by their actions and cold incentives, never by sweet words. Protect your interests as if everyone around you is capable of sudden betrayal. Solitude is the furnace where iron focus and supreme mental strength are forged. You waste hours in meaningless group chats and unproductive social gatherings. This constant background noise keeps your mind shallow and easily distracted. Great minds need vast oceans of uninterrupted quiet to produce extraordinary work. Convert your solitary hours into relentless skill acquisition and personal mastery. Re-merge into society so far ahead that they cannot comprehend your sudden evolution. Drop this in the comments. I belong to myself. Information is the currency of power. Guard yours with extreme discipline. You tell people your weaknesses, thinking it will build emotional intimacy. In competitive environments, your personal vulnerabilities will eventually be used against you. People store your admissions of weakness to leverage them during future conflicts. Keep your wounds completely private and share only calculated strength with the world. Let them know what you do, but never how you think or feel. A sovereign mind depends on no external source for validation or direction. You constantly ask others for approval before making major decisions. This habit destroys your self-trust and surrenders your personal autonomy to the crowd. The crowd is driven by panic, conformity, and short-term survival instincts. Train yourself to make decisions in total isolation, guided purely by logic and strategy. Trust your internal compass above the collective noise of a distracted world. Drop this in the comments. Power walks alone. Relentlessly sever ties with anyone who drains your focus or ambition. You keep toxic people in your life out of guilt or long history. Loyalty to dysfunctional relationships is slow suicide for your future goals. They anchor you to your past self and prevent your necessary transformation. Perform ruthless audits of your inner circle and remove low-value connections immediately. A small, elite circle is infinitely superior to a vast crowd of parasites. Re-merge only when your position is unassailable and command absolute authority. You return to social circles too early before your growth is fully solidified. Premature exposure allows people to pull you back into old dynamic roles. Stay hidden until your power, resources, and clarity are completely undeniable. When you finally step back into view, let your sudden presence command total respect. Make it clear that you returned on your own terms, not out of need. Control your desires so that no one can lure you with temporary rewards. You let people bait you with quick validation, cheap attention, and fake opportunities. Your uncontrolled appetite for approval is the primary hook used to manipulate you. When you want nothing from them, you become completely immune to their tactics. Cultivate absolute contentment in your solitude, needing nothing from the external world. An individual who wants nothing cannot be bought, coerced, or controlled by anyone. Never take sides in petty disputes. Maintain absolute neutrality and high ground. You get dragged into emotional conflicts that have nothing to do with your goals. Picky disputes burn your precious mental energy and generate unnecessary personal enemies. Remain completely neutral, observing the foolishness of others without getting involved. Let opposing factions destroy each other while you quietly consolidate your position. When the dust settles, you step forward as the sole undisturbed power in the room. Self-discipline is the price of admission to ultimate personal sovereignty. You make promises to yourself in private and break them the moment comfort calls. Every broken personal vow erodes your self-respect and destroys your strategic willpower. If you cannot master your own habits, you will always be mastered by others. Treat your daily personal routines as sacred laws that can never be violated. Build an internal iron discipline that remains unbroken, regardless of external chaos. Appear gentle and harmless on the surface while maintaining lethal strategic capability. You project aggressive strength publicly, warning your rivals to prepare for your attack. Overt aggression causes people to unite against you and build defensive walls. A truly dangerous individual appears pleasant, unassuming, and completely non-threatening. Lower their defenses with polite charm while preparing your definitive strategic move. When you strike, let it be swift, decisive, and completely unexpected. Time is your only non-renewable resource. Defend it with uncompromising violence. You spend hours listening to the mindless gossip and complaints of unmotivated individuals. They steal your precious hours because they have nothing of real value to build. Every minute wasted on trivialities is a minute stolen from your ultimate empire. Set brutal time limits on all interactions and cut conversations short without hesitation. Treat every hour as a precious stone that must be invested in your sovereignty. Your private space must remain an inviolable sanctuary of calm and power. You bring chaotic, low-vibration people into your personal home and living space. Their toxic energy lingers long after they leave, disturbing your peace. Your sanctuary should reflect absolute order, quiet reflection, and strategic focus. Bar all toxic individuals from crossing your threshold, regardless of who they are. Protect the sacred energy of your home so you can always recharge in absolute safety. Build an internal identity that stands firm even if the entire world turns against you. You crumble whenever you experience public criticism, rejection, or social disapproval. This fragility proves that your identity was built on external approval rather than internal truth. Develop an internal core so solid that praise and insults feel completely identical to you. Neither let compliments inflate your ego nor criticism sway your strategic course. Become an unmovable rock in an ocean of chaotic, temporary public opinion. Never reveal the full depth of your resources, strategy, or connections. You show off your full potential, leaving zero room for strategic surprise. When enemies know your limits, they can calculate the exact force needed to defeat you. Always keep reserves hidden. Unseen skills, undisclosed funds, and silent alliances. Let them underestimate your true power until it is far too late to react. The greatest victory is won before the opponent even realizes a battle has begun. Expect nothing from anyone, and you will never suffer betrayal or disappointment. You enter relationships carrying silent expectations of how others should treat you. When they fail to meet your standards, you feel bitter, resentful, and betrayed. Release all expectations of human behavior and accept people as flawed, selfish creatures. When you expect nothing, every piece of genuine good becomes a pleasant surprise. This mindset renders your emotional peace completely invulnerable to external actions. Solitude is not a temporary phase. It is your permanent home of supreme strength. You view solitude as a waiting room until the next relationship or social group arrives. This mindset makes you desperate, eager, and prone to settling for low quality. Shift your perspective and realize that solitude is your natural, highest state. It is the sanctuary where your mind stays sharp, uncorrupted, and entirely free. Embrace solitude as your permanent state and let the world earn the right to visit. You are the sole author, commander, and executioner of your life's path. You waited for a mentor, a savior, or a group to give you permission to lead. No one is coming to save you, build your fortune, or secure your freedom. Take absolute responsibility for every failure, success, and strategic move in your journey. Crown yourself in the privacy of your solitude, long before the world recognizes your title. Stand tall, step forward, and command your destiny with absolute, unyielding authority. Your solitude has severed the invisible chains that once bound you to mediocrity. You are no longer dependent on the validation, permission, or presence of weak minds. You have stepped out of the crowd and into the cold, clear realm of kings. Now prepare your mind, for the final awakening of your power is at hand. Feel the shift happening deep within your mind right now at this very instant. The weak, desperate version of you that begged for inclusion is fading forever. The old you is dead, buried beneath the noise, the weakness, and the desperate need to be liked by everyone. You are rising from the ashes of your old social conditioning as a sovereign force. No more explaining your choices to people who are not equipped to understand your vision. No more lowering your standards to make insecure individuals feel comfortable around you. You are a weapon, pointed at your own future, forged in the cold, quiet fires of absolute isolation and uncompromising personal discipline. Every betrayal you suffered was simply fuel to harden your strategic resolve. Every room that closed its doors on you was doing you a massive, divine favor. They forced you back into your own mind where your true empire was waiting. Look at the world now. It is full of loud, desperate people drowning in noise. They trade their dignity for temporary attention and call it social life. You stand completely above that chaotic circus, unshakable and entirely self-contained. You belong to no one. Not to a group, not to a crowd, and not to any master. You answer only to your own strategic purpose and your ultimate potential. Let them whisper about your cold silence in their crowded, weak gatherings. Their opinions are dust. Your sovereignty is eternal and absolute. You have mastered the hardest art known to human existence. Standing completely alone. While they fear the quiet, you use it as a strategic weapon of war. While they seek approval, you command respect through absolute absence. You are no longer a victim of human nature. You are its ultimate master. Step fully into your dark fortress and lock the heavy iron gates behind you. Let the world wonder where you went while you quietly build your kingdom. They will see you again only when your victory is completely undeniable, unstoppable, unshakable, and completely free from the illusions of men. This is your true nature. This is your birthright. Claim it today. Stand alone, walk in power, and let no one break your fortress ever again. If you have chosen to walk this sovereign path, then joining this inner council is your decision. Subscribe to this channel now if you are ready to master power, strategy, and self-containment. Or walk away and return to the noise of the crowd. The choice belongs strictly to you. Those who stay will receive the hidden tools required to navigate a cold world. Leave your answer in the comments below. What is the single biggest lie you stopped believing about loyalty?